Right now, I am in my last few months in the military, and for the first time in a long time, I am not 100% sure what's next. It's been 5 years of guns, lifting, drinking, going to the field, and even some travel paid for by Uncle Sam himself. Yet I can't help but to be aware of some of the highs just not being as high, the lows feeling lower than ever, and in deep parts of me, I am aware that who I am has evolved in a way that no longer aligns with these current circumstances. I think this awareness has led me to open a new book. A big thing with this one is that there's no clear ending that is written yet. All that is a blank canvas. I often think of this Kanye interview where I think it did it with GQ, where he's talking about his plans for this big ranch. He's sitting on thousands of acres. It's supposed to be almost like a university for him, and everything's going to be circular. That's not important. The big thing that I noticed while watching this interview is his mindset. It was overall excited for the future. He couldn't wait. You can tell he's been thinking about this heavily, and it's bringing a certain degree of life into him. Now I'm gonna tell you about myself right quick. So I remember I was doing a guard shift on like an ammo shack in the middle of nowhere, and I was also sitting on what was probably thousands of acres in the middle of nowhere. But what I was feeling was a certain degree of anxiety. I don't want to say depression, but I wasn't the happiest. It was one of those lows that was feeling lower than the normal. I wanted the guard shift to end, but I knew that what would follow this shift was more things that I just did not want to do. And I started to realize that so much of the things that were happening in my day-to-day life were all things that I just didn't want to do. Waking up at 5 a.m. for PT with the platoon, it felt like more of a drag than it used to in previous years mentally, not my body. My body feels fine, but so much of what could excite me, or even if I didn't necessarily like it, it wouldn't drastically negatively affect me. I noticed that it started hitting me hard. And I think for a while I was like, damn, I'm just getting lazy. I'm getting mentally weak. But I had to come to the realization that this was a more serious problem, almost on a spiritual level, was that I was trying to tell myself that I was misaligned. The same motivators didn't motivate me the same. Watching the Saving Private Ryan wouldn't pump me up. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, something like that. The small inconveniences felt like heavy loads. And no matter how much I was scrolling on social media or just overall submitting to my vices, there was always this quiet pressure, a quiet whisper in the back of my head that reminded me that I wasn't doing something right. Something just wasn't aligning or adding up. And I think the big part of my growth came when I realized that the things that I was feeling, these negative emotions, and it would even affect me physically, where I just felt more tired. That these things were not punishments, they were not me regressing, but these were invitations for growth. And for me to but there was an invitation for me to gain the awareness that I needed to pivot into something new, for I had outgrown my current situation. These negative emotions were, although I perceived them as negative, they were the signs that allowed me to know that I had grown. And all that awareness, that introspection, reflection, all those buzzwords and whatnot, have all led me to where I am now, opening this new book, opening this blank canvas of a book, and it's simply just titled no culture. What no culture represents to me it can be hard to translate. I think a monk would call it like a path to enlightenment. A Christian may call it the return to God. A yogi may call it the path to self-actualization. But for me, all of this is kind of encompassed into no culture. It's not really about me trying to be an idea or anything of the sort, but at least this starts off with me unbecoming everything that I'm not and seeing what grows in the space that's left. I have a lot of plans for no culture and aspirations. Some of these are more intrinsic in terms of my personal development. Some of these are very external and things that I would like to put out or maybe get out of, or maybe I'd hope to get something out of, but ultimately external. But I think one of the biggest common denominators of all the things that I want to do, they are all relatively in the creative space, and they are very, I'd like to say, positive. They're all means for growth. I hope that this acts as a beacon for others to put themselves out there, to seek fulfillment within themselves, to be whole, to do what makes them fully human, something real. I think, especially in this day and age, there's a lack there of substance. Everyone's trying to beat an algorithm or hop on trends or just copy this person. A lot of people are lacking that authenticity and uniqueness that makes them fully human. So this is my journey. I guess I call it a journey of my process of putting myself out there, trying to make my dreams, make some shit shake, you know what I'm saying, come true. But yeah, at the end of this video, I was really planning on giving more information or details about what this was going to be, what this means, if anybody even fucking watches this. But once again, a lot of this book isn't written. It's a blank canvas for me to express, to put out whatever it is, to just be. The goal is to just be. I'm just going to be documenting me just being. A lot of people, when I'm talking about content creation, they talk about having a niche. And boxing who you are in, and I just can't. I have so many interests. Maybe that's not the most productive way of being, but life isn't about productivity all the time. It's about living. You know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to work on just living, being me to the fullest. So yeah, we'll see what this gets us. Hopefully, I'm gonna come back to this years from now and be like, wow, this was the beginning. This is the first video. I'm like, damn, this is the old room and whatnot. People looking at this for inspiration. And like, this is the beginning. So shit, let's see what happens.